Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking a look at issue number 3 of PSM, the 100% independent PlayStation magazine. If you've been watching my channel, you'll know I've got a couple other videos at this time looking at issues 1 and 2 of PSM, and the plan is to keep going down the road here until I run out of issues. And I looked at my collection today and I've got them going all the way through to the year 2000. This issue, number 3 here, is from November 1997, so we've got quite a few issues that we'll be taking a look at here. Also, I should note that at the end I will link to a video of a game that was featured somewhere in the issue, be it review or preview, something like that. So we'll play through something that I'll pick out from each issue and look for that at the end, okay? So let's get right into it here. We'll look at the cover. Mega Man Goes 3D, that's the big story. So I think they're still calling this Mega Man Neo. Yeah, giant Mega Man Neo preview. This would actually turn into Mega Man Legends later down the road before it would come out here in the States. But very cool, colorful artwork, right? Pretty great cover, I think. They're advertising another lid sticker, which is a thing that PSM Magazine's known for. Big round sticker you'd put out or cut out and put on your PlayStation, as you could see on the picture there. But let's open it up, see what's inside. Inside cover ad is for some Porsche Challenge racing game that I didn't play, don't remember. Big ad on the next page for Colony Wars. Colony Wars, I used to love that game. Really strong title, and I know it got some sequels and stuff, but we haven't seen this series in a very long time. I'd love to see this come back around again. All right, going into the issue here. First off, I'll call off right off the bat. They've got the commentary on the cover art, which I love. I love that they do that. They have a different guest artist come in each issue, and they commission them for the cover. So that's how we end up with these really cool ones in this magazine. Familiar faces over on the right side, and then down at the bottom here, PSM always comes fully loaded with the Resident Evil 2 gun shop owner there with his shotgun trained on something. I love that. I think I said that when we were looking at the last issue. I love these little blocks down here because they just, I don't know, they're the kind of like cheesy thing that made my little 17-year-old self smile and like, yeah, it's fully loaded, it's full of good stuff and PlayStation stuff. All right, next page, another ad for Fighting Force, which is another game that I've covered on the channel here and tied to one of these issues, so look for that. Okay, table of contents. They're going back into the accessories for PlayStation, right? So the last issue we looked at, they got started, they covered a ton of different things like controllers. I know they covered fight sticks, which was cool. I had something to say about that. And this issue, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to get into light guns and memory cards and other things like that, so that's cool. Obviously the big story, Mega Man 3D, some Armored Core stuff, Final Fantasy VII stuff. Of course, Final Fantasy VII, I would think like most magazines would look for any way to fit that into every issue if possible. It was like the biggest game at the time. And then just some other stuff, PlayStation Party games. We'll see that feature coming up. Ad for MDK, which is a game I remember playing a demo of. There was a demo floating around all over the place for that game, and I remember thinking that was cool but weird. Never really got into that one. Coverage of Tokyo Game Show in fall of '97. So you see Parappa right there, and they talk about how Parappa 2 wasn't on display. It's just a rumor at the time of the printing, I think, here. And we'll know later down the road. It was quite some time before we would see Parappa 2. But it's just kind of interesting talking about, seeing them talk about this old stuff, right? You know, Gran Turismo unveiled, which is like, wow, you know, that they were first getting around to that in '97, I guess. But okay. That feels like that game is older than that. And then down here at the bottom, they're starting the ads for some Duke Nukem game. I forget which one, but talking about Net Your Rose, which was the sort of homebrew system that you could get if you had a lot of money and talent. I remember there was an awful lot of talk about that back in the day, but I never really I think maybe like one game or two games that were a product of that actually made it to the mainstream market. Might have been something like Devil Dice or maybe even Intelligent Cube, if memory serves. I could be off on those, but yeah, I don't know. Oh, here's Intelligent Cube right here. I'm like kind of staring. I should be looking at the magazine, but I'm like staring off, trying to like jog my memory of what your Rose games came out. And apparently some shitty fighting game, Cardinal Sin, was a exclusive to PlayStation. I say shitty, I guess that's a little mean. I don't know, I didn't like it. Yeah, Duke Nukem. So which one is it? Oh, Total Meltdown and Duke Nukem 64. He's coming to get some. So I actually played Total Meltdown on the PlayStation 1 and really enjoyed it. That was my first real hands-on time with Duke Nukem 3D. I had played it at a buddy's house on his PC and stuff, but not really past the first few levels or whatever. So yeah, getting that on PlayStation was really cool because I got to play the entire game that way. Some gossip stuff. Again, talking about Tobal 2 for the US. We know the answer to that is no. Ad for San Francisco Rush coming home, which is cool. A lot of people might remember that one in the arcade. Big hit. And then here is the Japanese section. So the import section of the magazine, which I think I mentioned this when we were looking at the last issue, but this will eventually grow and become another 2 pages, maybe even 6 pages at some point. I'm not sure, but what I like about this particular issue is they start talking about Bloody Roar, and Bloody Roar is awesome. I love Bloody Roar. That's one of my favorite games of the PlayStation era. So favorite fighters. And there's a really, you're gonna hear me. I'm gonna sound like a broken record. Oh, this was a favorite of mine. That was a favorite of mine. There were a lot of great games back then. Okay, man. Like they can all be favorites. Okay. There's just so much good stuff on the original PlayStation, and man, what a time to be a gamer and to be excited about games and watching 3D, you know, kind of take over everything and games go through this cool evolution. But anyway, back to the issue. Hey, pup. It's my dog with the nails clacking on the floor in the background. Sorry about that. Getting into reviews. So Game Day 98, back when Madden wasn't the only football game in town. Mega Man X4, which I think we saw previewed in the previous issue. Right in the middle of the right page, though, Time Crisis. Love me some Time Crisis. That is a fantastic game. Love playing that in the arcade. I'd play it all the time. It's one of those games where we would go to the movie theater, and the arcade was right next to the movie theater, so we would always try to, I'd always try to, you know, beg my dad for some, you know, can we get there early? Can we get to the movie like 10, 15 minutes early? And go into the arcade with like $1 or $2 and play Time Crisis for like 10 or 15 minutes and just be in heaven. So yeah, I remember playing that on PlayStation as well, though. I don't think I had the light gun for it. I know I didn't have the light gun for it. I played it with the controller. I did future shooters the same way. So I don't know why. I guess I had a CRT. Could have worked with a light gun, but Colony Wars here you see on the left side that got a 5 out of 5, which is excellent, right? And so all of my praise for that series, for that particular installment earlier, kind of backed up by that 5 out of 5 review. And then over on the other side, the right side page, you see a review for Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha, which is, again, another game that I've covered on the channel, and I think linked to one of these videos as well. However, I did incorrectly call out last issue, when we were covering issue 2, that they gave it a 5 out of 5. Now, apparently it's just a 4.5 out of 5. But whatever, man. It was such a tight game. It's so good. So 4.5, still pretty damn great. Oh, and the Ghost in the Shell video game mentioned there on the left page, which is also cool. Got a 3.5 review score. So that was one that I didn't get to play all the way through. They had a demo at some point I remember really liking. I think I rented the game but never completed it after that. Intelligent Cube here mentioned. Okay, so yeah, I guess I thought maybe that could have been a Euros game or something, but no, not if it's getting reviewed here already, I don't think. Marvel Superheroes on the next page. Great Capcom fighter, though the PlayStation port kind of lacking a little bit, but you know, what are you going to do? Not arcade perfect, but still perfectly playable and fun, and I think they call some of that out in the review here. Let's see. Oh, Maximum Force. That's a fun mention. So they gave it a 2.5. But that's like the game that was in like every business in the 90s that had like room for one arcade game. They would get that or Area 51. They would get some shitty light gun game with full motion video actors and stuff every time. So you'd see those things all over the place. They must have been just like cutting deals on those cabinets. I don't know. They were everywhere, at least in the Midwest where I was growing up. And then an ad on the next page for the Ghost in the Shell game that was just reviewed on the previous page. And there is the Major without any real pants on or butt coverage. So the flashback section, this is fun, right? Because it's a good way if you missed an issue or something to kind of look back and see what recent games got, but also games, because this is only the third issue, right? Games that came out before the magazine did. So like Wild Arms, for example, you see on the bottom here, it's the very last game listed. They gave that a 5, which makes me want to cheer, because I love Wild Arms, and I totally agree that it's a 5 out of 5 video game. So very strong RPG on the system. And really like kind of criminally underrated when people sit and go, oh, you're going to buy RPGs for a PlayStation? Well, you get all these Square ones, and then people are like, how's Wild Arms? I guess the second one was probably the best one, or the third one. Like, nope, first one. First one, always, now and forever. Okay, so party game feature, right? And they did this cool kind of 70s thing here. And you see the lid sticker, which is a staple of PSM at this point. I guess this time it's the Fighting Force crew from IDOS. And what does it say on the back here? Just, pull this off, put it on your PlayStation. Looks pretty cool. All right, so the party thing in the background here, the other feature, I'll try to flip up the sticker so you can kind of look at both pages together. They apparently rounded up some people from the office and took some fun screenshots of them holding controllers. Like, was there even, how many controllers are there? 6? 7? Was there even a game on PlayStation that you could play with 7 people? I don't know. But yeah, talking about the system link and stuff. Good multiplayer games. And then let's try to bend this sticker right. There we go. Talking about puzzle games and fighting games over here. Ooh, that'd be a feature that I guess I would probably want to read up on later. Be interesting to see what they have to say about that. Just from a glance up here, I can tell they're talking about Tekken 2. I see that mentioned a couple of times, as well as Soul Blade. So yeah, they're on the right track. You can't do much better than that. At least not in November 97. And let's see. Ooh, they even talk about snacks. That's kind of fun. What are your party snacks? Red Vines, pizza, soda, chips. That's all pretty obvious. Pretzels, popcorn, candy. They mention M&M's specifically, which is, yeah, that's great. I'm on board, man. I'm an M&M guy myself, so. Oh, and then a cookie recipe. Well, that's cool. Go out and buy some cookies, buy some colored icing, and put it on those bad boys, and you got PSM cookies. Well, okay, there you go. I guess that's a that's a pretty easy recipe. Advertisement for One, which I think, if I remember right, that was the game where the previous issue they had the guy with the arm cannon thing and said, I feel the rage, or whatever, and I commented on how cheesy he looked. And here we go, getting to the big deal in the issue, Mega Man Neo, covering that, right? So this would later become Mega Man Legends here in the States. I think over in the UK as well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think the name's different over there, but I don't know. I'm not the game historian here, all right? I'm just going off memory and winging it, okay? But Mega Man Legends, or Neo as they're calling it here, I remember this because I was really excited about it. Look at it. If you look at the screenshots, very colorful, right? and Mega Man's character that I was really familiar with. Most people were back then. And so the thought of looking at something like Tomb Raider or Mario 64 and thinking, okay, but what if Mega Man, right? That sounded great. So again, not having access to like YouTube and just seeing preview builds and videos and stuff of this, just going off the screenshots, this looked mind-blowing. It would later come out and I would kind of find it to be a little stiff, a little clunky at times. Locking onto enemies seemed like they hadn't quite fleshed that out yet. It was kind of tough. But still cool, still had its heart in the right place. I liked it. Good music and stuff. And they're still talking about it here, so a little bit more coverage on it. They talk about using the camera, which is funny. Just because, I guess back then there wasn't a ton. There wasn't a ton of 3D games like that where you'd have a free movement camera like that. Ad for Critical Depth. I think we've seen this in a previous issue. I got a guy smashing his head through the glass of a submarine or something down there. I don't know. It looks pretty intense. I want to say that was kind of like a weird underwater sort of Twisted Metal type game. But I don't know. I don't remember it very well. I think I played a demo once, unless I'm just totally mixing it up with something else. Monster Rancher on the left page here. So I really liked Monster Rancher. I had that game, and it was cool because I actually got it for free from Tecmo through the video game website that I was writing reviews for at the time, GameAssault.com, which is now defunct. I think you can find old archived content out there somewhere. But Monster Rancher was a game that they gave to us for free and said, okay, hook us up with a review. And, nothing was expected or anything like that other than just like a link to our review afterward. But I really liked it. I got a kick out of the game. I thought it was cool. It was really novel to like take a music CD and put it in the PlayStation 1 and have it generate, a sort of Pokemon style monster based off of the data that was on the music CD, right? So that was cool. And then you could do different things like there was more than just battling them against other things. If I remember right, you could play with them and like train them. So I remember I had this like dinosaur pet one that was like my favorite that I had generated, and it came from like my White Zombie CD too, if I remember right. And I was like totally thrilled about that. And we had like a snowball fight or something where the game shifted into a first-person perspective, and it wasn't unlike, say, a light gun game or something like that, where the character would move around on the screen and you'd try to keep the target on him and whip him or whip a snowball at him. I think he threw him back too, maybe. I can't remember. Maybe it was just throwing them at him. But anyway, the game was cool. I liked it. I gave it a pretty positive review on the website, and I think Tecmo was happy. I think they felt like they sent the game to the right people. NBA Live, I had nothing to say about that. Sorry, man. Like, NBA Jam was barely even my kind of thing. So, yeah, I was not into really the more hardcore NBA games back then. More ads for Test Drive 4. I'm going to continue to probably see those for a while. Shadow Master, I don't even know what that is. I'm so unfamiliar with what that is. I don't remember it at all. It must not have made much of an impact. And then over on the right side here, you see another ad for that Versus fighting game. And with the cheesy line, "I'll take you out." And her measurements over there on the upper left corner of that page, as well as her height and age. Just so cheesy, man. Underwear sticking out of her top of her pants there. Whatever. It was just, I guess, the state of where, gaming ads were. A lot of the stuff was aimed at, I was 17 and reading this magazine. So really, this was like tailor-made advertising for me, right? So, Crash Bandicoot 2. I feel like we just looked at a big 2-page thing in the last issue on Crash 2, but maybe I don't remember right. I don't know. But yeah, go check out the remaster trilogy. Okay, 2-page ad for Tekken and Soul Blade. Pick a fight. Hey, it's Christmas, pick 2. And just earlier, the party feature that they did, they mentioned both of these games, and rightfully so. They were both killer fighting games on the PlayStation. Gex 2, Enter the Gecko, more on that. Let's see here, Formula 1 ad. Kart World Series, I didn't play that. Eventually you'll hear me talk about Andretti Racing. That was like my one Formula 1 game that I would play. I think Formula 1, right? It's the cars with the wheels that stick out. I'm gonna embarrass myself. Jet Moto 2 on the right side. I liked Andretti Racing though, so eventually they'll probably mention that in this magazine, and that's probably how I found out about it. But not Kart World Series. I did not play that one. Jet Moto 2, yeah, okay. Like Jet Moto. Jet Moto's very cool. It's another series that I think they need to bring back. Some Youngblood game. Looks like a top-down or three-quarter view Crusader No Remorse style game. Didn't play it. Very 90s comics, though. Looking at all those characters. That is like so 90s comics. Resident Evil 2. So yeah, this was still on its way out, and it looks like they were at the point where they were making actual Resident Evil 2. However, they still have this outdated art of Leon from when the game was still 1.5, I think. So yeah, they call him Leon here in the magazine. I honestly can't remember if that character was supposed to be Leon when the game was Resident Evil 1.5. But yeah, that was cool. Very exciting, man, because the director's cut had come out, and we had gotten a taste of the demo for Resident Evil 2 that was bundled in with the director's cut, if I remember right. And that was so hot fire at the time, man. That demo was awesome. I think that demo sold tons of copies of that director's cut, and so once you were done getting a taste of it there, like looking in here for anything else that you could find to kind of, you know, satisfy your craving for like more Resident Evil 2, however you could get it. Oh, preview on MDK. Oh, and the Youngblood game that we saw advertised just a couple pages back. Not really sure what to make of that Youngblood preview. That is a lot of different looking screenshots there. Can't really tell what kind of game that is. But MDK was a third-person action adventure kind of sort of shooter game. And this is fun because, just a quick mention, they cover the sniper mode here. Sniping was like kind of relatively new. You didn't see a lot of that in video games yet. Like GoldenEye kind of did it in a big way, and that was like new to a lot of people, I think. And MDK was like one of the first ones that I can remember doing it. Cool Borders 2, okay, very cool. Cool Borders was a hit series. I guess, I don't know, I guess Sony's done with that. Fighting Force preview, again, another game that I covered. I think I mentioned that earlier when I came across an ad. Tomb Raider 2, right? So more coverage. Again, this game was giant. People could not get enough info on Tomb Raider 2. Critical Depth, some other game that I kind of don't remember. Oh, that was the one that with the guy smashing his head through the window. That's right. Okay, in the advertisement. Yeah, that was this one. And it looks like I was kind of right. That it was sort of a destructive, you know, drive your thing around underwater and blow stuff up, shoot at stuff. So here's the accessories coverage that they talked about in the table of contents. So we've got some flight sticks, some wheels getting covered. I didn't really use any of this stuff, honestly. I never bought those. I was a fight stick guy. The light guns here getting covered, and what's kind of interesting here is this is the one that I know, right? Like the gun con from Namco. Everybody who is looking for like a PlayStation 1 light gun, that's the one that they want to find out there, right? You know, all these years later, if you go into a convention or something, people are always looking for gun cons. But they give this other one over here, the Lunar gun from NACI, or right? Yeah, NAKI, a company I've never heard of. And they gave that 4.5 stars, the same rating that they gave to the Namco GunCon up here, if you notice. 4.5, 4.5. And they gave it glowing praise. So, yeah, it's just kind of interesting. I don't know. I never hear people mention this Lunar gun. I only ever hear people looking for the GunCon. Or actually the Peacemaker here. I've seen people looking for that one too. People seem to know that one. But just kind of an interesting call out there. Other stuff, they get into memory cards a little bit. Memory disk drive. I never had one. I didn't even know that was a thing, really. Never had one of those. Link cables. Oh, these TVs here, right? If you can kind of see the tiny screenshot. You saw those all over the place in stores, I remember. Like, a lot of places would use them as their demo station. Set one of those up, hook up a system to it, and then you've got kind of everything right there in a semi-portable package. And I think that's even kind of what they say there in the issue of PSM here. And dude here's pretty excited to be out from underneath the pile of accessories. He's ready to move on to a new feature. Calendar of events for ImagineGames.com. I wonder if that website is even around anymore. Probably not. Armored Core strategy stuff. Let's see, fold out for Mega Man 4 special items and some, what is this, Colony Wars stuff? Yeah, that's Colony Wars stuff on the top there. And more stuff on, was this Armored Core, right? Yeah, still continuing the Armored Core strategy. Grand Tour Racing, not really familiar with that. These courses look kind of interesting though. That almost looks like something maybe I would, maybe I should have taken a look at that game. Final Fantasy VII, part 2 or 3 of their strategy guide here. More Colony Wars stuff. An advertisement for the tip line. Today we'll be talking about things that rhyme with gory, Montessori, allegory. More things, Simpsons reference there, sorry if you're not in the know. More stuff on Colony Wars, it looks like. Namira, again, from Mace the Dark Age. We saw this advertisement in the last issue as well. It's a cheesy, she'll break your heart and kick your ass thing. Not too terribly unlike the ad for Versus, right? Where the girl's like, I'll take you out. Oh, another lid sticker here. That's 2 in this issue. So yeah, there's the dude smashing through the window. Code Junkies. We've got, let's see, Ace Combat 2, Command and Conquer, Carnage Heart. Got a Street Fighter EX plus Alpha thing where you play the bonus game on demand. That's cool. Thunder Truck Rally, didn't play that. More tip lines here for, you know, call them up, and again, more words that rhyme with Corey. Twisted Metal 2 codes. Ad for Bravo Air Race. Namco Museum, Volume 4. Huh, I wonder what's on this. I kind of don't remember that that's even a thing. Race Storm advertisement. Free issue of Ultra Game Players. Letters section, right? So, again, continuing with the thing that they do where they dox a whole bunch of people with their willingly submitting their names and addresses and stuff, all their contact info. So, yeah, it still kind of blows my mind. I wonder how long they do that. I wonder if every issue that we look at, if they're just going to keep doing that every time. Be interesting. Let's see. Let's read a question here. Is PlayStation capable of creating faithful conversions of X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Tekken 3, Darkstalkers, and Street Fighter 3? And I'm reading over here. Steve says, both X-Men and Street Fighter versus Street Fighter and Tekken 3 have been confirmed for the PlayStation. Yep. So it looks like they can definitely be ported over. I'm curious how Capcom's going to deal with the whole tag team feature in X-Men, though. Hope they won't have to cut out a lot of animation frames. Interesting that he says that. I don't remember them cutting animation frames. I do remember them kind of borking the tag feature altogether, though. I think if memory serves, you had to have... I think you actually had to have 2 characters the same two characters on each side of the fight, right? So if, you know, player one had Ryu and Wolverine, player two would have to have Ryu and Wolverine, and then I think you could tag in and out. It was something like that. It was like some kind of weird condition to get the tag to work. It wasn't arcade perfect. But yeah, I just thought I'd call that out. Kind of fun to hear them talk about, like, oh, you know, will these games maybe come? Tekken 3? Tekken 3 would come in a big way to PlayStation. Be better than the arcade version. Blow people's minds. Top this section. So here's their challenges again. They want you to find all the limit break manuals in Final Fantasy VII. Build the best mech for Armored Core, and then what is this for Mega Man X4? It looks like they might want you to do the entire game. Oh, collect every heart, every tank, every weapon in the game. And if you use X, we're gonna require that you find every capsule and completely upgrade your armor. Oh, wow. So, okay, yeah. Who can be the most hardcore the fastest? And marketplace stuff for people looking to buy, and then a quick preview of the next issue. I always loved this section. I would look forward to the next issue as soon as I was done reading the one I was holding. So having this little like glance at what was to come was always really cool. And then you would see down at the bottom, like, you know, we got coverage of these big games, and there would always be at least one or two, and I'd just like be so excited to gobble up any kind of info that you could get on these games before they came out. So knowing like, oh man, next month they're going to talk Breath of Fire 3, that's so cool, oh, I can't wait, you know. Then the issue arrives in the mailbox and it's like the happiest day. So, all right, inside of the back cover, ad for Red Asphalt. And then the back cover, another ad for Pandemonium 2 with Nikki there showing off her booty. So that is issue 3 of PlayStation Magazine, or PSM rather, the 100% independent PlayStation Magazine, not the one that came with the demo discs, but the one that came with all the stickers. So thank you for hanging out. We're going to link you up now to a video of me playing a game that was covered somewhere here in the issue, so be sure to check that out, and as well as any future videos on future issues of the magazine, and there's going to be quite a few of them here as we go. So like I said earlier, I've got at least a few years to work our way through. So anyway, thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time.